So we talk about the planning. We're going to go through this. I can't stress enough how important it is to plan what you're going to do first before you start building this thing. Okay, 3 important things. What does the audience want from you? What do they want? What are they looking for? You got to sit on the other side of the table, like I said. What is it you have to say? And then how are we going to arrange the content to best meet your audience's needs? Some things are going to be more important than others. Okay? You need to analyze that, look at that, and say, this is more important than this, so I want this to be more prominent. So you have to ask yourself these questions. All right, so when you're designing your site, if you are doing it yourself, you want to have clearly defined areas so that people can find things. For example, up here, there's a customer login. If there's a customer login for a new customer, an existing customer, there's our logo on the left, our navigation running down the left, and then boxes down at the bottom where we have a news or calendar or resources, and then maybe there's a photo image in the gray area. But you have clearly defined areas so that it's very easy for people to find what they're looking for.
And the gray box is the photo.
Yeah, it could be a photo or some image there. It was just to kind of show you that things should be defined. When they come to the home page, one of the primary purposes of a home page is to divide your audience. Okay, some people may be interested in X, or some people may be interested in Y. Don't send Y to X. Send Y to Y. So you want to divide your audience. So if there's 2 different things you're doing, different types of services you're offering, it's very important right there on the home page, right from the get-go, send them on their way. You go that way, you go that way. And let them find the stuff. Don't make them have to hunt and go through it. That's one of the most important things. That the home page is kind of like the directory. They're going to look at it and say, all right, I'm going this way, I'm going that way. Don't make them guess. And then we talked about this before. Make sure if it's a link and it's clickable, make it obvious so that people know it's a link. Very important. Definitely on your website, what I have found, and this is contrary to what I believe, what I found is because we do analytics and we track traffic to sites, I found on a lot of my clients' websites, the about pages are very important. That people want to know about the people behind the business. I mean, I never thought that would be. I just think they're going to go right to services. They're going to go just look at what they got to do. But I found through analytics that a lot of people go to if it's executive bios, about the people, about the company. People are going to these pages and looking at that information. So it's not for me to argue whether they're right or wrong. It's for me to say, okay, let's respond to that and do things accordingly to meet their needs. And there's the photos. We talked about photos. Include photos. It does add visual meaning to the site. And I'm going to talk a little bit about where you get your photos from. And I'll tell you a little story about one of my clients who decided to go get his own off of Google Images. Okay. Yeah, all photos should be captioned to increase comprehension in SEO. When you have a photo, when you're a web designer, or even if you're building it through one of these CMS websites yourself, like Joomla or .NET Nuke, you can add what's called an alt tag, an ALT. An alt tag describes the image. Remember what I said, Google can't read an image, it can't read a photo, it can't read it. But if you put an alt tag and says, this is a picture of Jane and John Smith who own the bakery in Smithtown, well, Google can read that. So we put those alt tags.
Where do you put that on the picture?
No, depending on the type of design software you use, for example, if you use like a Joomla or a .NET Nuke, it will give you a feel that you can type that in. It will say alt tag and you can type it in. See, this is an enormously complex thing. I mean, I've used quite a few of these do-it-yourself programs, and I've struggled a little bit with them myself. I mean, it's not as plug and play as you think. I mean, if you stick with it and you have time, you'll make it work. So you would put these alt tags in there, and that's also to help your search engine as well, because you may have names of people or something. Yep.
You said Joomla, and what was the second one you said?
.NET Nuke.
.NET Nuke.
Yeah, .NET Nuke is a Windows-based program. You can actually build and deploy a whole site. I'm more familiar with .NET Nuke than Joomla.
What
Or
is the spelling?
Drupal.
How do you spell it?
.NET Nuke, DOTNETNUKE.
Oh,
And
Nuke.
WordPress.
Wow.
And WordPress. Okay, WordPress is probably the most popular one. But,
Gingrich, that's what I hear.
all right. FAQs on your site. FAQs are just another way that you can help to market your services. Do you make that an extra large? Oh yes, of course we do. We have all different sizes. Can I adapt that for my 110 outlet? Of course, and it gives you a chance to talk about your products or your services. Are you open on weekends? Absolutely. Our hours are this. It's just another way for you to restate your marketing messages and to put information up there that you're getting those repeat phone calls every day. Do you sell this? Do you warranty that? Do you keep this in stock? You get those repetitive questions, you put it up on your FAQ. Help to reduce the demand on your staff. So you want to get that up there. FAQs are good. Sitemap. Okay, what is the sitemap? The sitemap is kind of like an outline of all the pages of your site. And they are all in the form of hyperlinks. And Google loves sitemaps. Because Google can come in through a sitemap and index your site to another door. But it also, some people prefer, once again, it's the users. Some people prefer to go right to a sitemap and look at it. It's just kind of like an overall chart of all the pages and how the hierarchy works. Here's services, and then underneath it is widgets and screwdrivers and this. It's just a way that they can look at the whole website at once and see the whole outline of it. And we talked about the page footers at the bottom already.
Regarding the sitemap, is that something in a web design package that is already kind of outlined for Google? Not something you do like in a Word document,
Okay.
throw up there?
What you could do is there are sitemap generators. Okay, they're third-party things. They're like XML sitemap generator. If you Google it, sitemap generators, what you do is you submit your web address, your URL, and it will index your site and create a sitemap. Okay, it will do it for you. And then, using like Google Webmaster Tools and things like that, you can get really involved in doing it. But sitemaps really help the navigation, and like I said, Google likes it. Okay, so in terms of marketing your site, it's very important that you put your URL on everything, on the door of your business, on all your products, your receipts, business cards. Everything should have your web address on it. And I do work for some clients where we'll set up specific pages for a promotion on a website. And it will be something like theiradress.com/promotion. We'll set up a new page, and we'll put that unique URL in an ad to drive people right to a site. Or you could also use what's called QR codes. Everyone know what a QR code is? All right, we'll talk about it real quick. We'll go through what a QR code is. But it's kind of a cool thing. So once again, we're talking about that whole big picture here, your marketing. Your website is one component of that. So you want to make sure that that URL, just like your phone number or your address, is present on everything you do. Or you could use a QR code, which we'll have in a minute. All right, navigation. We'll talk real quick about navigation. Kind of like that picture. I thought that was cool. It's your road sign. It's your map. It gives the people coming to your site something to hold on to. They feel confident. They know that no matter where they are on your site, they always have the navigation to get them back where they need to be. So it's very important. It also gives us a little glance of what's inside the site. So we can kind of see, oh, look at this, right? They have this product or that. It kind of tells us how to use the site based on how the navigation is set up. Do we have submenus going down inside? So the navigation is kind of telling you how it's going to work. And we touched on this before. Consistent navigation makes it a lot easier. People can adapt quickly. Because remember, a lot of people, they're going from one website to the next. They're going here, they're going there. They're seeing a bunch of different navigation, different layouts, different page things. So they come to your site. You want them to be able to adapt quickly to the navigation and send them on their way so they can go around and go through your site. All right, let's go talk about content. Keep it short. Remember I talked about the chunks. Keep it short. By keeping it short, once again, if you have something important to say, it stands out more than having a group of people shouting in a room. Okay, one voice. So try to keep it clean, keep things shorter, and also one of the benefits of shorter copy is you reduce your scrolling. So that's kind of a side.
What is the optimum size, font size, for example, for a 2-paragraph page?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably go 12 point on the body copy would be okay, 12, 13 point. Designers love to put copy in small. I don't know why. I can't see it. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm standing over one of my designers' shoulders and I'm like, what is that, They think it looks more artsy if they make it smaller. And it's like, yeah, but you can't read it. That's that balance again. We have to balance things. And now in this day and age too, let's just talk about it real quick. For handicap, that if you're developing a site for people who are visually impaired, a lot of features now built within the browser is you can enlarge the text size. Okay, sometimes you see the small a, the medium a, and the big A, or you can even scroll now. And on a PC, you can scroll and make the thing bigger. In a Mac, you hit the plus key and the page enlarges. So, we're less and less concerned about that now. But we do want to consider that if we are designing a site for visually impaired or the elderly. One of the other things too with the elderly is colors. Elderly sometimes have a difficult time discerning color, green or yellow and things like that. So if your audience is an older generation, you want to factor that in. Make sure the type is really big, make sure there's an option for them to make it larger if need be, and keep the colors a little tame, with some darker colors, things like that, so it's easy for them to read. It's very important. All right, kill the happy talk. Happy talk is small talk. No one's interested, they don't care. No one cares what you have to say. All right, they only care what you're going to do for them. That's the bottom line. They don't care what you have to say. So just tell them what you can do for them. There's no useful information in happy talk. Look at us. We've been around. We do this. Happy. Just right to the benefit. People want to know what you can do for them. Do for them. That's what they're coming for. Chunk it. Here's the chunk. Okay, we like chunking information. Keep small passages of text easily scanned, because remember, people scan, they don't really read, so we can kind of keep it and kind of keep those chunks of information in a uniform size so that there's a little bit of a flow to it, and it also works better on the computer. Once again, we talked about scrolling. So chunking, yeah?
Well, when I was working on my homepage, I tried to have bulleted information, and then when I did put it through the evaluation, it said, well, there's not that Google likes to have at least 250 words, and the density of my keywords was not so great. So in not having nice clean bulleted things so that people can get the content really quick, apparently was not a good thing for Google. And,
right.
then how many keywords can you keep repeating
You can't.
if you're trying to
Okay.
read? So then what do you do?
Right. Couple of different things going on there. When you're talking about 200 words or whatever, when we talk about chunking information, that's a couple of paragraphs of copy on a page. I'm not saying just put 2 sentences on a page with a couple of bullets. I'm saying don't have it scrolling, scrolling 3 or 4 times the height of the screen. So you have to find that balance in terms of the amount of information you put on a page. I'm just saying keep it in short, what I refer to as like reference documents. Kind of break it up smaller. You may have 500 or 600 words on a page. You could, or you could have to scroll a little bit. That's fine, because once again, it's that balance between communicating to your audience and making Google happy. Sometimes they're not the same thing. So you have to find the right balance. And in your case, the bulleted is not going to necessarily do the trick. So you're going to have to add, a paragraph of copy. And repeating keywords is a no-no. Google doesn't like that. If you keep repeating the same words over and over again, they don't like that. They don't like that. So you have to find different ways to phrase things. And remember, for the most part, people are not searching for your business name, right? Because everyone agreed that unless you're Pepsi,
Right.
or unless you do so much advertising out there that you're building so much brand recognition, they're not searching for you by your name. And I find that a lot of times when I'll get customers, I did a Google search for my name and I didn't come up or something. It's like, well, I want them to do a Google search for your product or service, and I want you to come up. So it's very important that you will come up with your name eventually, because it's going to be all over your website. But that's not the important thing. Remember, you want to market out there to people who don't know you're around, and they're going to use Google or something to find you. They're going to do a search for the product, you know.
I have some old information from like 20 years ago on Google. How can I get rid of it?
Where is it? So did you put it up or someone else?
No, someone else.
Well, good luck with that. They would have to take it down. Now, you know, that happens. I mean, you know, that happens, that there's information up there. You could make a request to them to ask them to take it down, but it's probably on someone else's website that someone owns it. So you really can't do. Now, you can on your own pages through Google, you can tell them, I don't want Google to crawl through these pages. You can make them like private pages. You have control over doing that yourself on your own pages. But when it's someone else's website, it's out there. And it's, you know, it's unfortunate, but
You cannot do anything about it.
no, I would contact them and ask them to take it down.
How do you contact Google?
No, contact the website where it is.
But how do you contact Google?
You have to email them. Well, they have phone numbers. You can get through to them on the phone. But
Yeah.
the Google won't help you on that at all. You got to talk to the website that it's on.
Getting back to keywords, if you have two different products or services and they're hooked up to one site, you know, like if you have a lot of products, like products but you have services, and then would you have keywords on that page for that service and then there's different keywords on the other page for the other service?
Yeah, what you might do is on the home page, you'll have both of them. Let's say you have a little paragraph of copy, and it says, you know, we do A and we do B. I would make A and B each hyperlinks as well in the copy. That would go to each individual page. Then on A, you know, I would focus on the keywords about A, and then I might mention, but we also do B right at the end. Okay, and then do the same thing.
Same thing
of what?
on the other page.
You know, just a little line, a little cross promotion and things like that. I think, can't hurt. All right, so I think we got chunking. Not a very pleasant term, but I didn't make it up. All right, so kneel before Google, the almighty, the powerful. Okay, they're the one. Okay, your content has to be search engine friendly. I think we've been touching on this with your keywords. You know, you have to put things in sentences and things like that. You just can't string keywords along. And then some people get great ideas. Well, I'm going to put a bunch of keywords in white text on a white background, and you know, Google's going to love me. It's not going to work. They're not going to. It's not going to work. So we talked about getting those keywords in that describe what you do, and then hyperlinks to the other pages. All right, stock photography. Here we go. This is the one that I almost lost all my hair on. Google Images. Everyone familiar with Google Images? It's a search engine of images, photos, logos, everything. You do a search in Google, there's a little button up at the top that says images. You click on it. Let's say you're searching for Tom Cruise. And then all of a sudden you click images. Every photo about Tom Cruise will be up there. Do not take photos off of Google Images for your website. Okay, I had a client, a large pharmaceutical company, that had a recipe section on their website for healthy foods. And they decided to get a picture of a carrot cake and an apple and a carrot, just stupid little photos, nothing crazy. But they lifted it off of either someone else's site or Google Images. Well, there's this whole organization out there now, these stock photography companies are embedding code in these photos that you cannot get out. Even if you open it in Photoshop and resave it, there's this code in there. And there's a company that goes around and they scour the internet looking for this code. Bing, bing, bing. The fine is $100,000 per occurrence. Okay, they settled for 20, but $20,000 for like 3 photos of cake and would have cost them $40. They would have bought them. Okay, resist the temptation to just pull a photo off of someone else's website. If you deal with a distributor, and the distributor has a website, you know, get his permission to take a photo or something like that. But be very careful. Just don't lift photos off of other sources. Yeah.
How do you protect your own photos?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. You definitely, you can put, within the file, you can put copyright information in the file of the photo, and you can protect it that way as well. And you can put in like your URL and your name and all that other stuff, which would come up in a search. So I know in Photoshop, you can call the photo up and put that information in there. Shutterstock, Getty Images, photo search, okay? If you're working on your website and you need a few photos, like for example, all the photos that you see on this PowerPoint came from Shutterstock. I have a subscription to Shutterstock. I pay $135 a month, and I get 25 downloads a day, which is a lot. We never use it. And, you know, I have a bunch of people working. You can go in and buy 10 photos. Like they have all different pricing plans, so you can go and buy like 10 photos for, you know, a few dollars. It's well worth it. Very, you know, very easy to do. You can just set up an account. But there's two different types of photos. Royalty-free, which is when you pay for it, they'll pretty much let you use it anywhere. The only thing they won't let you do is use something as part of your logo. Okay, they don't want you taking a royalty-free photo, then incorporating it into your logo, which now becomes your identity. But if it's a photo of someone, you know, cooking or kids playing, or a photo of, you know, the beach, royalty-free, they'll pretty much let you use it on your print materials, your website, anything you could use, and you can use it. Rights managers, when it's very specific, they want to know, what are you using it for? How many, like I'm using it for a brochure. Well, how many are you printing? When are you printing it? You can only use it this one time. So there's really two different types there. So royalty-free would be the way you want to go. But another option too, which I would really strongly suggest if you're doing a website, is invest money in a photographer. Because you're going to see all these royalty-free photos are all, everyone's using the same thing. You know, the same woman with the headset. You know, you're going to see her on 90 different websites because, you know, people are getting that photo. I've brought in photographers and like shot facilities and done things. You know, just invest a little bit of money because you can get a lot of mileage out of those photos. You can use it in a brochure, you can use it on your website, press releases, whatever it is, and you own them. You don't have any worry about it, and it's a good investment because just the photos alone on your website are going to help to make it look more unique. Because even if you use like a WordPress, you're using a template that every other person is using. Okay, it all follows the same conventions. Okay, when you go to you can spot a WordPress site like that. Oh, it's a WordPress site. I can just tell by looking at it. That's not bad. But what's going to make it unique are the photos. So if you invest a little bit of money in having a photographer, or even doing some of the photography yourself if it's a facility, try to do that because that's going to help to differentiate you. Did someone have a question over here?
I understand that Google Images is not a source of photos for the website, and I formerly with a publishing company, a newspaper chain, and I used to fight with sales reps all the time. Stop bringing these to the art department. You can't use them. What is the point of Google Images?
Well, Google Images is just a search engine of photos. It's just a search engine of photos.
Right.
Not for you to reuse. It's just there for
to
you
look at.
To look at. It's just,
Okay.
I want to see pictures of you know, Queen Elizabeth that are in Jubilee. You know? It's just a search engine of photos. But they're not there for you to take and use.
Right.
So just be very careful. I mean, you could really open yourself up. Newsday got into trouble for doing that. Newsday used a stock photo and they didn't pay for it. They got fined $100,000. They got the full.
They should have known better, right?
What's like an average cost for a one-time use, and how do you find stock photography companies? Do you just Google stock?
You stock photography, and these are like the big ones, like Shutterstock and Getty Images and Photo Search. Those are the big ones.
What's
And
the
you,
average cost?
I mean, you can pay $20 for a photo, but you can buy 11 photos for, you know, a reduced fee. Like they have all different pricing plans. It's worth it. Just go. You can go and choose the photos you want. You can save them in, they call it a light box. Just put them in there for now, and then when you're ready to make the purchase, because you're doing your site, you can get them.
For how long?
You can use them for as long as your website's up. Now, I've had situations where I've done sites and I bought stock photos for my clients, and then they weren't my clients anymore. They can't use the photos. I don't own the photos. They're only letting me use them. I can't transfer ownership of a photo to someone else.
But they're paying for them really, in reality.
They paid for them for that site.
For you.
Yeah, right.
But still they can't.
No, they gotta be very careful, you know.
Is that different than a banner, making banners for your site, with pictures or photos?
Well, those photos, you make sure that you have permission to use those photos on the banner. Don't use anything, you know, suspect. Don't just, oh, I like this, I'm gonna pull it off of someone's site, because you can pretty much pull any photo down off a site and say, I think I'm gonna use this photo. So you really shouldn't do it.
That includes any kind of artwork as well.
Same thing, yeah. I know it's hard, I know it's disappointing. But, all right, we're gonna move along. Let's get to this web design stuff. All right, there it is. Form and function. This is what it's all about. It's balancing form and function. The function is how the site works. The navigation, the wireframe, the way it's designed, how the site functions. The form is the pretty picture. That's what I do. And our struggle every day is to balance the form and the function. Sometimes it's much more function than form. And we have to balance that. It's very important. It's got to be able to work on the web. And that's first and foremost. If it's not working, I don't care how pretty the picture is, it's not happening. So the design of your site should offer relief to the eye and strike a balance between the text and the graphics. We don't want everything being the same size. You don't want really large type with a photo, kind of small. You need a little contrast. So you have a little bit of a larger photo and your type. You want to have a little contrast on your page. So what do we want? We want this website to generate what I call top of mind awareness. That it's going to get your name out there, that people are going to remember you. We want to make sure your content is relevant, informative, and it addresses the needs of the visitor. Everything is easy to find. And what we want this website to do is we want to increase traffic to it. You launch your website, we want to go through it and increase the traffic to the site. We call that unique visitor count. Everyone heard of hits. Hits are very inaccurate. We don't care about hits at all. Hit is when the page is loading, it's making a request to the server saying, I need this photo to load, I need this to load, I need that to load. Every time the server is requested, something is requested, that's a hit. So it's very easy for your homepage to generate 15 hits on one visit. So hits are, we don't care about hits. What we care about are unique visitors, how many, or returning visitors, but individuals who are coming to the site. We don't care about hits. We talked about we want this website to reduce the demand on your staff. We want to capture user data. We want to be connected to other websites, whether it's a distributor or someone like that, and obviously we want them to be connected back to you. We're going to talk about that real quick. And we want product inquiries. People are asking about your business. More inquiries, more business. That's the bottom line. If you're a small business, you want to get more business from the website. So here it is. Here it comes. Do it yourself. So we talked about WordPress and Joomla. These are referred to as CMS, or content management systems. These are websites that are set up, they're template based, and will allow you to build your site and manage your content. Okay, you will log in, you get a login, and you can go in and add content. I mean, there's also other ones, like I said, .NET New is another one, Quicken. They all follow the same premise, where it's a template, and you're flowing content, you'll pick the template you want to use. But some of these other ones, like Joomla and WordPress, they also have plugins, what I'm just going to call plugins, where you can add functionality to the site. For example, if you want a calendar on your site, you can plug in different modules or things like that to make your site a little bit more robust. So these are out there. He uses Joomla over here. He builds Joomla sites. I've used Joomla on my own. I had a little bit of trouble just right off the bat. I had difficulty doing it. So I think you still need someone to advise you with some of these. WordPress, I felt was a little bit easier. I built WordPress sites myself. No problem there. But the issue comes to you can go in and you can add pages, edit pages, delete pages. You have that control. Okay, you have that control, but it is a template. So if you're looking for something a little bit more in terms of the look and things like that, it might not be right for you. But if you have the time.
Aren't some of these used more predominantly within, say, a certain segment of marketing? Like, I see a lot of art and websites, things like that. A lot of them use WordPress.
Well, I just think a lot of people use WordPress. I think WordPress is probably the most popular.
So it's just
Yeah.
more
I use .NET New, and it's just because a client of mine asked me to build a site in .NET New, and I did it, and I was like, okay, I understand it now. I can build sites. But I still have a little bit of difficulty. What I find on experience, I have clients that we've actually built sites in WordPress or .NET New for them, and then they can just go in and change them. I found after a while, like, it started looking pretty bad. People said, you know what, I like that type in red. Well, the other person who's in charge of the other page likes to type in green, and they like a different font. And one person likes it really big, so the whole integrity of the site suffers because you have Now you have these backseat designers who are trying to, affect their own creativity into it. So that's a big challenge.